Welcome into yet another Dove Valley Deep Divers special here. Joining me is my old Dove Valley Deep Divers co-host, and emphasis on the old part here, Lance
Hey,
Sanderson. It's good to have it's good to have you again. How you doing, man?
doing good, man. I'm just excited to be here, excited to talk some Denver Broncos football. Obviously, the 53-man roster was just released a couple of days ago, so this is it's a fun time right now. Obviously, the roster is never finalized. There's always going to be moves that are made, and different things are going to happen, injuries and waiver claims. You never know. So, as it stands right now, the 53-man roster is set going into week one of the NFL season. I'm excited about this roster. There's a lot of really fun things to talk about. I'm excited to be here with you, man.
Yeah, I mean it's great. We've already recorded a couple videos that we talked about. The um, some concerns about the roster, still some concerning moves when trimming down to the roster. A little bit on the negative side, but this time we get to be a lot more positive and talk about the positives of the Broncos roster. And in one of the videos, we definitely touched on it, but I think the biggest positive thing about this roster is the youth, followed by that this is Sean Payton's team.
Yeah.
It was like 34 of the 53 players on the initial 53-man roster, the roster that they cut down to on August 27th. Like 34 of them, I think, are guys who joined the Broncos and Sean Payton took over.
Yeah.
It is his team. It is a young team. He's building it and molding it the way he wants. And well, it may not fully reflect on the field this year or in the win-loss column this year. Hopefully, we're seeing the outcomes of this in a positive way next year and especially in 2026.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. And like you said, the big thing here is obviously the youth movement. You move on from guys like Justin Simmons. You move on from guys like Samaje Perine, like Tim Patrick. You like this team right now is undergoing a massive youth movement, and the future is bright right now. Obviously, you go on and you draft Bo Nix, number 12 overall. You get your franchise quarterback of the future, and it looks as of right now. I'm not trying to get too excited here, but it does look like what Bo Nix was in Oregon is what he is at the NFL level. It's translating. You're seeing the timing, you're seeing the accuracy, you're seeing the decision making show on the field every single time he's out there. And right now, I don't think optimism has been this high for Broncos country since probably 2016 when the Broncos coming out of the Broncos winning the Super Bowl. It's been a long time since I've felt this optimistic about a roster. And a big thing is it's not for this year. Obviously, Vegas thinks that the Broncos are going to be kind of a rough team this year, setting the over-under on their win total at 5.5. I think they're going to go over that. They might win 7 or 8 games in my estimation as it stands right now. But the youth movement, the new quarterback, the fact you've got a lot of development going on and a big time evaluation period, this to me is a big positive sign.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that we finally get the quarterback that Sean Payton wants in Bo
Yep.
Nix. I'm still cautiously optimistic about him because as good as he looked in preseason, we do have to remember defenses in preseason are very basic. They don't throw a lot of tricky stuff at quarterbacks, at offenses, because they want to keep their secret, so to speak. And what the defenses that he saw were defenses that you see regularly in college.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's going to immediately make him struggle once we get to the regular season. We might see more rough moments from him,
Mm-hmm.
but I am optimistic that he's going to do well. The cautious part is I don't think he's going to be great, and we're going to see a handful of mistakes each game throughout the season, and that's okay. It's a stepping stone. At least they named him starter, and they're the getting him out there on the field early with his age and his collegiate experience, because he's not a raw prospect. There are some things he needs to work on, but they're getting him out there on the field now and just helping him grow with a young center, with young receivers, with
Yep.
a young tight end group, with young running backs, with a mostly young offensive line, with a young defense that's essentially being rebuilt. It is Bo Nix's team. It is Sean Payton's team, and it's a great thing to send the message. It was great to send the message with him when he was named starter. It's great that they're going young and they're embracing it. And here's the thing, and I think Sean Payton or George Payton talked about it. When you build a young team, what's the right way to put this here? I can't remember exactly how they put it. Is that they play with more energy, and that
Mm-hmm.
energy is so contagious it can lead and help translate to wins.
Yeah, and I think you saw that on Zach Wilson's face. Let's talk about the backup quarterback position here. Obviously, the Broncos kept 3 quarterbacks. They brought along Zach Wilson. They brought along Jarrett Stidham. But when you watch Zach Wilson play against the Arizona Cardinals, the smile on his face from ear to ear throughout that entire competition, he had a great game throwing for 2 touchdowns, running for another one himself on a quarterback sneak. You just see that the energy, the excitement is palpable with this roster right now. It is a very big thing. And I think that the one thing that is going to go understated is the amount of success that the depth on this team had. Eric, I know that you and I have both said multiple times the depth on this team is very questionable at best. But when you go out there and you put up 33 points a game on the offensive side of the football in 3 preseason games, and yes, it's preseason, but these kids went out there, these guys went out and they played hard, they had a lot of fun, and they had a lot of success. And success breeds more success. Winning breeds more winning. He's building a culture here. And again, Sean Payton, with his fingerprints all over this team and the way that they have played in the preseason and training camp, has me very optimistic for the future of this franchise.
Well, I don't care about the points per se. It is nice to see them have that success because, as you said, that success can doesn't necessarily translate to regular season success, but it does translate to more energy, more confidence,
Yes,
all
confident.
things that can help translate to more success in the regular season.
Yeah.
So it's great to see it. It's great that they got this experience under their belt of scoring and putting points on the board in a way that we haven't seen in Denver for 8 years now, 9
Yep.
years, however long it's been of all these losing seasons. And also winning in the preseason doesn't matter. Everybody remembers the 0-16 Lions. They went 4-0. The last 2 times the Broncos went undefeated in the preseason prior to this year, they had losing records in the regular season. And it's something like upwards of 80% in the last like 10 years or something like that of undefeated teams in the regular season went on to be at 500 or worse in the regular season.
Yep.
So the wins don't translate, but the experience, the confidence, the success, all this can, especially when you are a young team. Again, young youth. It's a youth movement here in Denver. They have one of the younger rosters overall.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly where they place. I can't remember that off the top of my head.
I
Have a
heard a
lot of guys.
stat. I heard a stat on that. They went from, I believe it was like the 28th oldest roster in the NFL last season to like in the 10th youngest. It's a massive transformation in the youth movement across this roster.
Do you mean 28th youngest to like 10th? Because 28th
Yes.
oldest, I mean that they were one of the younger ones. Just want to clarify.
Right. Yeah. So they were one of the oldest teams last year to one of the youngest teams this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they were, and Russell Wilson had a big part in that because of his age. He helped raise the average there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, going back to that is 34 players have joined this team since Sean Payton has joined, and most of them are within 3 years of their career.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, it is a youth movement again. And while that youth doesn't guarantee that they're going to have 10 plus wins, 9 plus wins, they're not going to guarantee to have that winning season. We talked about this in another video. I might have mentioned it earlier. It can translate to success a year from now, 2 years from now, and 3 years from now, and beyond. And just keep translating that because you're getting these young guys this much needed experience to help them grow and succeed and show what they need to work on. Because one of the things, if you go out there at a young age on the football field and you struggle, it can either break you or make you. We all remember Von Miller's rookie season. There were a lot of highs. There were a lot of lows. His run defense was not great. And he used that as motivation to build himself better and get better. And with Sean Payton, with this, with the personality he's putting into the team, with the chemistry he's building, and which is the image he's building the team, I am far more confident in these young guys taking these early failures and building on it and not making them failures than I am failing and them just falling into basically nothingness, bouncing around the league or even out of the NFL. I have more confidence in that sustained and growing success instead of consistent failure.
I'm right there with you. And like I said a little bit before, it's the coaching job that Sean Payton has done with these young guys that really sticks out to me. I want to translate just a little bit to some some major key positives in terms of just individual position groups. To me, I think one of the bigger positives in individual position groups is the development of this edge group right now, specifically Nick Bonito, who has shown major steps forward as a run defender. These kids are getting after the quarterback at will. I mean, Jonah Ellis was flying around the backfield. Like he's got a long ways to go for sure, especially as a run defender. But the spin move that he showed in Utah, it was effective at the NFL level. He constantly was in the backfield, made multiple different plays where he forced turnovers. There was an interception and I believe a fumble recovery where he was directly impactful in that play. Like his growth, even as a rookie, has been tremendous. Baron Browning showed a little bit out in the first preseason game. Jonathan Cooper has shown to be just that steadying, reliable force that he has been over the first 4 years of his career. This edge room, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people in their effectiveness moving forward.
If they can stay healthy. That's always been the caveat with this edge room. If they can stay healthy. We've seen Baron Browning. We know he can have great success in the regular season when he's out there on the field. Jonathan Cooper, we know he's reliable, and we know he's able to stay out there on the field. Nick Bonito, we know he can win as a pass rusher. It is great to see the growth that he's had as a run defender. And then Jonah Ellis, he's a young guy. He's going to grow. He still has a lot of room to grow. He only has one great developed move. He doesn't have any counters to his game. He has two that are fine. He still has to work on chaining moves together, but those come with seeing the field. It comes with practice reps. Yeah. It comes with time. Even the best pass rushers in the NFL, if you look at Max Crosby, if you look at Von Miller, if you look at DeMarcus Ware, each of them, and many others, mind you, each of them had a lot of growing to do. And what was the biggest thing that they all had to do? Add more moves to their arsenal and start working on chaining moves together. It is why when I come across a prospect when I'm scouting the draft that can chain moves together consistently at a good level, at a good rate, it is such a good thing to see because it's one less thing you have to focus on because it doesn't come often. That is often a large area of focus for NFL coaches. All right, we're going to set up your spin, or we're going to set up this move with your spin move. We're going to develop this counter because you can go to your spin move. You can go to this move, then you can go to this counter. Like, it just is a matter of getting all those down and developing it. And Jonah Ellis, he's shown some improvement in those areas in the preseason. Still a lot of work to grow. He's working on developing that stab move and what was it? The name escapes me now. The one that Von Miller absolutely loved to use.
Oh, that ghost move.
Yeah, the ghost move. He showed some development in that and work that he's working on it. So it's great to see him that he's putting this together. And the preseason's a great time to try it out.
Yep.
So I am, again, as I'm with Bo Nix, I am cautiously optimistic with Jonah Ellis because we are seeing the signs of them starting to improve and grow. And a lot of these rookies are showing that. Devon Bailey, as another one. The only one I wish we were seeing it from is Troy Franklin. And I think the wide receiver room, I wouldn't list it as a positive. It's a positive that with Devon Bailey with how he's grown. But there is a lot of concern about Troy Franklin, who I would not be surprised if he plays less than 15% of the offensive snaps this year and is a healthy scratch for most of the games. Again, provided the caveat that the receivers are able to stay healthy.
Right. Who's your biggest positive in terms of what position group is the one that really is like, this is a good sign right now? Because I think I know where you're going to go. And to me, it would be cornerback, but I'm curious to your thoughts.
Defensive line.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yep.
I think Malcolm Roach, with what he showed this preseason, he had a great one. I think you can push DJ Jones as a starter in the middle of this defensive line. Jordan Jackson is showing the improvement because last year his preseason had me calling him to not even make the practice squad because of how terrible he was. Great they stuck with him. Great they kept developing him. He's showing a lot of improvements. They've switched some stuff with the defense up front that's helping him. And because of him stepping up, they're keeping Uwazurike, seeing if he can continue to grow and develop. And they can afford to do that because their fourth and fifth guys on this defensive line have stepped up. It is a thing where they have good depth. And I think they're going to have a great season. But my concern is I have a lot of concerns about the secondary and the linebackers, the coverage unit. This defensive line, I fear, is going to have a great season, but a lot of fans are going to hit it as saying that it's not a good unit because of the issues on the back end of things.
Right. I don't know, man. I'm taking a lot of positives away from the development of Riley Moss stepping up as the starting cornerback opposite of Pat Surtain. Chris Abrams-Drain also showed very, very, very well. Jaquan McMillan just continues to be a wrecking ball at the slot corner position. I think that while there could be some hiccups, and obviously you got Pat Surtain in there as well, there could be some hiccups early, but I think as this team continues to grow and continues to gel and allows that pass rush to really get after the quarterback, those warts that you're concerned about may not show their face nearly as much, man. I'm taking a big positive out of this cornerback room right now.
I get where you're going with this, but I still have a lot of issues. Riley Moss was beat multiple times deep, just the throw
Yeah.
wasn't there. Chris Abrams-Drain had a great preseason against 4th and 5th string receivers.
Yeah.
Jaquan McMillan, he looks like a great slot receiver. We hardly saw Levi Wallace, and we only saw him for like 10 snaps or so against the Cardinals. I still want to see a lot more before I sit there and start having confidence about the cornerback room and the safety room. And that's
Fair.
just where I'm at. And we just didn't get to see a lot of it. And again, just as defenses don't throw a lot of creative stuff at you, offenses don't either. They keep a lot close to the chest. Can Riley Moss start handling more double moves? Can he start handling some of these rub routes and pick routes and things like that that are going to be thrown his way, especially with the added pressure of consistent starting quarterbacks? Because Riley Moss, the only starting quarterback he faced with Anthony Richardson, who played 5 games last year before he got hurt. Still has a lot of work to do as a passer. That's the only starting quarterback he faced. Chris Abrams-Drain didn't face any of them. So starting quarterbacks, what are they going to be able to do? Starting caliber receivers, what is he going to do? Because again, Chris Abrams or Riley Moss played just a handful of reps against the Colts against one of their starting receivers. So that to me is why there is still such a concern there. But again, there's a lot of positives about the roster. The youth, absolutely love it. The way that they're building this roster, for the most part, and the image they're building this roster, I should say, I'm absolutely loving it. I don't agree with all the moves they've made. I don't expect anybody to agree with every single move we make. There's a lot of trust in Sean Payton, and rightfully so. But that trust can only carry you so far.
Yep.
Like,
got to see results.
Got to see the results. And again, I'm not looking for immediate results this year. I'm looking for results, as long as it's not like absolutely terrible results. Of course, like they're getting blown out every single. Don't want to see that. Like, you do want to see some success. But guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for joining. As always, make sure you guys leave a comment below if you guys have any comments about what we said, any counterpoints, any counter takes, anything like that. Feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Any questions, again, comment section down below. If it's a good enough question, it's a question that we can end up taking to making a whole video about. As always, make sure you guys are liking and subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel on Facebook, facebook.com/milehighhuddle. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, facebook.com or twitter.com/milehighhuddle, or at milehighhuddle on Twitter. You can find all of our written content at milehighhuddle.com. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy your evening, day, night, whatever happens to be when you guys are tuning in for this video, and enjoy your day, again, whatever, weekend. Used to saying weekend because of Friday night shows. But thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, and as always, go Broncos.